Up? What it do? Welcome to Clarence Sports Talkative Jones, episode 130. Happy Friday. Hope everything is all good and great your way. Clarence Sports Talkative Jones podcast presented by Player Progression Goals, www.playprogressgo.com. Let's dive right into it. Been thinking a lot about basketball and NBA playoffs officially starts tomorrow. I'm excited for tonight's what is it, the eighth seed game. We got Hawks, Heat, and Mavericks, Grizzlies. So this is going to be two great games. I'm going to be tuning in tonight. But I want to as we get prepared and ready for playoff basketball starting tomorrow, a lot of games going to be kicking off tomorrow, all weekend, heading into next week. I love the playoff basketball atmosphere for NBA. I mean, it's excited. It just keeps me going, and it's something to really look forward to day in and night out. So I've been thinking about what's been happening leading to the NBA playoffs. Like the past four, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and it's been crazy. Okay, it's been crazy, and I want to bring something to your attention. Okay, so for me, I'm a coach. Okay, I fell in love with the game of coaching basketball at the age of 21, and from there, I always studied coaching from all levels. You name it, youth level, middle school level, high school level, um, job course level. When I coach at job corps, and like I said, the high school level, semi-pro leagues, overseas leagues, international leagues, and of course the NBA. And I just study coaches. I study different, methods, how they coach, what they're saying, and what they're doing, and how they, connecting and having that chemistry with their players. So I am a coaching sponge. I love, getting in that information and putting it in my philosophy and, just studying it. And since the age of 21, I always had the mindset of, I want to be able to coach, but I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to get fired. I want to always have opportunity to, you know, be better year in and year out. And I remember, as I'm, when I was 21, I'm 35 now, time has fly. Okay. But as I'm 21, I'm taking notes like, okay, if you win, like Phil Jackson, I'll be all right. Or just many of the greats, that won several championships and, played a big role in their team success. And overall, I always thought winning was the key. If you win, you don't have to worry about getting fired. Now you just got to win championships. Before you can win championships, you win playoff games. But the key is win. Have a great winning season every single year. But as I'm 35 now, and I'm like I say, I'm looking back at from when I first started taking notes on a lot of coaches from 21 to now at 35. I gotta say, and I'm not embarrassed to admit this, but probably this year so far in 2025, what, I say maybe 24. So maybe, from 2024 on to this year here so far, we in April. I'm just now realizing that it's not all about winning, and that's what I want to bring to your attention on this podcast. Whether you're a coach or you think about coaching or you just love to study it and know about it, but mainly, like I said, if you get that mindset of you want to become a coach, um, at the middle school level, where you can basically, you're up for fire or rehire. It starts at the middle school level. Pop Warner and youth basketball. Well, not Pop Warner basketball. I'm thinking football, but youth basketball. You ain't getting fired. Only way you can get fired is if you do something just crazy. You're not showing up for practices. You being disrespectful to officials, coaches, parents. I mean, but for the most part, youth basketball, your job is safe. But when you get to that middle school level, because I've coached at youth basketball, I've coached at middle school. I coach at Job Corps. I've coached clinics and camps for high schools. But when you get to that middle school level, that's where it starts at. It's not just about winning championships. What I've learned is about relationships. It's really about relationships. Like I said, I'm just now realizing this in 2024, late 2024, going into 2025. I'm just now realizing that. And you go back, right? And I'm thinking like sports relationships. I've realized that sports relationships outweighs, overshadow, overvalue championships, overvalue winning, you know? And this podcast is pretty much created based off what's been happening in the NBA for the past 7 weeks now, 8 weeks now, what I'm noticing. And a little bit of it mixed with the NFL too, but this started in the NBA for me. Like what's been happening in the NBA for the past 7, 8 weeks. I said, I gotta holler at you and express to you and wake you up because maybe you're not aware of this. Okay. But from my NFL to NBA perspective, okay, from my NFL to NBA perspective, I'm noticing a pattern that's increasing. And it's increasing in a bad way, a bad method. All right. And to highlight some coaches, okay, team representatives that's falling into this pattern, literally falling into this pattern. Like I said, most of it coming from the NBA, a little bit of NFL, but this is a wake up call for all and anybody that's thinking about coaching or wanting to get into it at the next level, whether that's, middle school, high school, semi pro, overseas international, G League, NBA. This is a wake up call to really think about it. I ain't trying to scare you. I don't want to pull you away from your dream because, hell, I'm coaching. I love coaching. But I want to share this with all my coaches. Okay. It's a pattern that's increasing. And like I said, I'm realizing it's not about winning. I mean, I always thought winning would keep you safe. But you go back and look at the Eagles head coach or former head coach of the Eagles, Doug Pederson. He won the what Super Bowl in 2018. All right. He won the hell. It was the first Super Bowl in franchise history. And he was fired in 2020. Fired. Oh, he just won a championship. He just, and I have that mindset. You probably had that mindset as you win championships, your job is safe. Your job is safe. You're good. You got nothing to worry about. Your job is safe if you win championships. And I realized that's not the case. That's not the case. Like I said, Doug Pederson won the Super Bowl in 2018 and was fired in 2020. That's crazy. And then you go into staying with the Eagles. Nick Sirianni? He got the job in 2021. And since 2021, the man been on a hot seat every single season. Literally every single season. Took the Eagles to the Super Bowl in 23. Was it 23? He lost to the Chiefs, and he went this year, in 25 and won it. But the man is on a hot seat literally every single year since he got the job. Go back and read the reports. Look at some of these, platforms. Some of these sports shows. He's on a hot seat every single year. And I'm like, the man keep winning and winning and winning, and it's still, like I said, this what sums it up. It's just about relationships. Ain't no other way to put it. You look at hell, one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, arguably my favorite coach, Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin been with the Pittsburgh Steelers for what, 18 seasons? Got the job in 2007, and he only got one Super Bowl victory. He been to two Super Bowl, got two Super Bowl appearances, but he only won one. But he was there for 18 seasons, and he has 18 winning seasons. He don't have 17, 18 Super Bowls, but he have 17, 18 winning seasons, along with relationships. He has a great relationship in that department. Okay, he has a great relationship in that Pittsburgh Steelers department, and that's impressive because a lot of Steelers fans or outside football fans that's not fans of the Steelers, some may ask themselves, "Man, how is he still there?" He only won one Super Bowl. He been there 17, 18 seasons. We need a new coach. I've heard Steeler fans said that. Every single the past, 5, 6 seasons, every single season you're asking for a new coach. But I'm just here to wake you up. Like, it's not always about winning. This goes for, like I say, future coaches, sports fanatics. You're big on NFL football. You're big just on the games of, NBA, NFL, and many other sports. It's not always about winning championships. It's really about relationships. And I think coaches like Mike Tomlin been at Pittsburgh so long. Of course, it's about the winning season, but I really think it's about relationships as well. Pittsburgh department see growth. Um, it's a lot of winning seasons in Mike Tomlin's resume. And believe it or not, if the Steelers was to fire Mike Tomlin today, all the teams in the NFL will be calling Pittsburgh or calling Mike Tomlin trying to work out a deal. Teams will fire their coach for Mike Tomlin. It's about relationships and winning. But don't get in the habit of thinking it's just all about winning. Don't go on with, into that job interview with the mindset of it's just about winning. All I gotta do is win. I'm good. You gotta have relationships, respectful, healthy relationships with everyone in your staff, administration. That's what gets you the job long term. So I just thought I would wake you up, but there's some unfairness to it though. At the same time, you look at Mike Brown, NBA coach, got fired from the Sacramento Kings. He had just won head coach of the year. He got them to their first playoff appearance in 16, 17 years. He won, like I said, he won coach of the year in 23, and he was fired in 2024, fired. And like I said, the Kings haven't made the playoffs since 04, 05, before he got there. Now, I'm not going to always say, oh, well, Mike Brown didn't have a great relationship with Sacramento front office, or he didn't have a great relationship with his players. I just think a lot of times it just goes down to relationships at the end of the day. I ain't saying he had bad relationships, but it wasn't what Sacramento wanted. I part of me, like I said, I don't have any inside news on this, but I think him and what's the guy name? De'Aaron Fox. I think there was some intention there where maybe Fox might have went to administration. I mean, I don't know. Maybe rumors are circulating. Maybe they just sense that it ain't working out. Star player don't like what head coach is saying, and a lot of times you can go for that type of reason. So at the end of the day, it still starts and ends with relationships. Mike Brown, I'm pretty sure wasn't disrespectful to De'Aaron Fox. I'm pretty sure De'Aaron Fox wasn't disrespectful to Mike Brown. It could have may have been something else. It could may have not even been De'Aaron Fox and Mike Brown. It could have maybe been someone in the front office just feel like it's just not a good relationship in order to get us to success. So not having a good relationship and getting fired, it doesn't mean that you didn't got along, people didn't like you, or you didn't like them, you were disrespectful, they were disrespectful. Sometimes it's just about, is the relationship even working? Is that sports relationship even working between you and your players, between you and your front office, et cetera, et cetera? So, and I think that's what led to Mike Brown's firing, because think about it. What else could it have been? What else could have been that caused him to get fired? Because he just won coach of the year in 23, was fired in 24. He took them to the playoffs after a 16, 17-year drought. Mike Brown didn't deserve to get fired. If we're talking stats and success, I just think it went down to someone in that organization just wasn't happy with Mike Brown's philosophy. Doesn't mean he had a bad relationship. We got to learn the difference. Now, this one here hits me hard. I don't like, because I really don't think this one's fair. Huge fan of John Morant. Memphis Grizzlies, they're going to be playing tonight. I'm going to check them out. Great ball club, great team. But for Taylor Jenkins to be fired with only, 9 games left in the regular season, I didn't like that. I didn't thought that was fair. But then again, no matter how I try to find my way around it, no matter how you try to find your way around it to figure out, oh, yeah, you know what, I can understand why the Grizzlies did what they did. it still goes back to relationships. There were some reports came out that I think John Morant and a few of the players just wasn't agreeing with his philosophy and what how he was leading the team. It just goes down to relationships. And like I said, it's not always about having a perfect relationship or a good relationship with your player. Sometimes you can have a good relationship on your end, from your perspective, from your point of view. But from your player's point of view, from your front office point of view, they may feel like something's missing. It's not disrespect. You showing up on time. You're leading the team. You got a good winning record. But it could just be that relationship that feel like, I don't see this working out. It could be, like I said, good. Things to be going good. But as you're thinking, long term, I just don't think this is going to work out. And like I said, it also doesn't help when you got star players like John Morant or whoever in that Grizzlies front office or on that roster may have talked to the GM and say, hey, I think Coach Jenkins, I really don't see this working out, or I don't think this can get us further. And most times, when you're a star player or, you got a good, respect in that front office locker room, they're going to listen to what you say more than they will listen to what a coach said, because we're talking NBA here. Now, if this college or high school, different story. But if you got a John Morant or just anybody that's, teams having meetings about, hey, I don't really think Coach, I don't think it's the right thing, for us to do. I don't think it's to really get us to, that could play a part in Coach Jenkins being let go, Mike Brown being let go. There's so many things that plays a part in it. So I think a lot of time when we hear, oh, it was a bad relationship, or that coach might have lost a locker room, he or she may have not even lost a locker room. It just, the players just don't feel like what the coach is saying will work. The front office may feel like what the coach is saying will not work. And when coaches and players and star players and front office, and you got, saying, I don't think this will work out, you get let go. It's not always about the bad relationship. It just, they don't see that coach's vision, and it happens. But why this one hit me hard, why I didn't really like this fire, because I feel like Coach Jenkins was dealing with a lot from the Memphis Grizzlies front office, from John Morant, suspensions, injuries, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy carrying that team without John Morant, the star player. So to see him got let go with 9 games left, even though it went down to relationships, like I said, I'm pretty sure Coach Jenkins was respectful. I just don't think that was a fair fire. Or, well, I didn't really, I don't think it was a fair one, because, like I said, the man dealt with John Morant suspensions and still, got his team in the play-in playoffs. That's messed up. But like I said, no matter how we slice it, no matter how we try to work our way around it, it still boils down to, it was just about relationships. They didn't believe in that relationship growing further and further. It doesn't mean that Coach Jenkins didn't got along, or he didn't got along with the GM. He didn't got along with Ja. I'm sure Ja and Coach Jenkins got along well. I'm sure Coach Jenkins and the Grizzlies front office got along well. But at the same time, while you're getting along well, there's still differences. There's still different visions, different philosophies, different, hey, I think this will work here. Hey, I think that will work. And when it goes down to that, it goes down to that relationship being split. That's why you can see sometimes coaches and players get fired, get released, and they always say, "Hey, is no love lost." It just, you see different point of views. But the reason why Coach Jenkins was, like I said, hit me hard, because that man dealt with a lot with Grizzlies and John Morant. I mean, they went and got John Morant help, Derrick Rose, Marcus Smart. I mean, they try to do a lot. So to see Jenkins got let go with 9 games left, it just wasn't right. But like I say, it just boils down to how sports relationships work. My mindset was always winning seasons, winning championships. But as I'm studying the game, different sports, from professional to non-professional, it really boils down to relationships. That vision relationship. Can you see what I'm saying? Can I see what you're saying? Is it working? Is the players happy? Let's not get carried away, coaches, and think it's all about us winning, because winning doesn't always take care of everything. That's what I used to think. When I started coaching at 21, I say winning takes care of everything. Winning does not. Most time teams that win, Super Bowls, World Series, NBA Finals, World Cups, all that. Most teams that win, the following year, what always happens most times? Players leave because they want more money. Coaches leave. Coaches take new jobs. So winning doesn't really take care of everything. If you think about it, it will always be about that relationship. Okay. Now, when it comes speaking to relationships, now when it comes to the Nuggets, Coach Malone, um, I didn't like that one either. Uh, Calvin Booth, general manager of the Nuggets as well. They didn't got along. That came out pretty fast. I didn't thought that would break pretty fast like that as far as a reasoning. But uh, GM Calvin Booth and Coach Malone didn't got along. Um, the roster was just falling apart. I mean, you can go back from when they built their championship run. It was at 23 when they had Caldwell Pope and Bruce Brown. I mean, they had a good team. And when they lost both of them, previous years, I was just like, what's going on? They went and got Russell Westbrook. And, I was like, okay. At first, I didn't thought it would work because, you already got Joker there and you got Jamal Murray there. I'm just like, okay, Murray runs the point. Where's Russ going to fit in that? But, you got, Aaron Gordon. So I was just like, is they going to work? But for the most part, it looked like it was working, and it did work because the Nuggets is the fourth seed in the Western Conference. So, but this sounded like a relationship that was falling apart over the years, going back to probably 2 and 3 years, probably since they won a chip. Calvin Booth and Coach Malone relationship behind closed doors more than likely probably been falling apart slowly, and we didn't notice it as fans because we so wrapped in what's going on with the Nuggets as far as how they looking on the court. They're looking good. Joke is lighting up the stat sheet. Jamal Murray lighting up the stat sheet. Aaron Gordon, you know, the list goes on. It just like so we didn't look at the fact of thinking about, damn, could Malone be fired at the end of this season? I mean, going into the NBA season of this year, no one thought that Coach Malone would be fired. You didn't thought Kevin Booth would be fired, but like I said, you go back and think of all the pieces they've been losing. Like I say, from Bruce Brown to Caldwell Pope, and I've been calling it out on social media, like, man, what's going on? They should have kept Pope. They should have kept Bruce Brown. I mean, that was their defensive guy. Pope was a shooting 3-point guy, but it boils down to relationships. They wasn't getting along, and when that happens, team owner step in and say, you know what, you guys can't get along. I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let both of you guys go. And I thought it was just crazy at the time, and I was like, damn, because I think for Malone, it was like, wasn't there like 5 games left? You know, and they, like I said, they led. They were pretty good in the playoffs throughout Malone's years. You know what I'm saying? Got him a chip, and yeah, it was actually 3 games left there. So yeah, Malone got fired with 3 games left. That's crazy. And even going back to with Coach Ham, with the Lakers, he led them in 2022 to the Western Conference Finals. Okay, he led them to the Western Conference Finals, Coach Ham, in 2022, and he was gone in 23. You know, yeah, if I'm reading, he took them to the West Conference. Well, I'm sorry, 23. Let them. Yeah, okay. So he got hired in 22. He took them to the Western Conference Finals in 23. Yeah. So Coach Ham got hired in 22, took the Lakers to the Western Conference Finals in 23, and now he's gone. They got JJ Redick, who's doing a great job, by the way. But it just, like I said, this is just a podcast for my coaches, for my fans that really want to, dive a little bit deep into the game. If you think about getting into the game, whether, sports industry for work, whether it's coaching, GM, any job in the sports industry, hell, any job, period, outside the sports industry, it really, 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 really is about relationships. It really, really, really about relationships. Trust me. I tried my best to think outside of it. Hey, winning doesn't take care of it. Winning championship doesn't take care of it. Getting employee of the year doesn't take care of it. Getting a pay raise doesn't take care of it, because at the end of the day, it still boils down to relationships. So just keep that in mind. If you're in the sports industry, you think about getting into the sports industry or whatever job you do, it's about relationships. You may be like, damn, I just got employee of the year last month. Now I'm fired. Damn, I just got a pay raise. Now I'm fired. Relationships is the key. And like I said, I'm learning that literally just now in 2024. When it comes to sports industry, like I said, because I'm a coach. I love coaching. I love promoting and advancing and learning. And I want to share that with you. But this is just something to think about. Like I said, all these coaches I talk about today on this podcast, I admire them all. They did a great job, and I can definitely take a piece of their game, their philosophy, and put it with mine. But this stuff is really about relationships. Like I said, a lot of these relationships wasn't good, but a lot of these fires was not fair. But as long as we can remember that it's just about relationships, it's not safe no more just to win a championship. And because like I said, Mike Tomlin ain't won a championship. He only got one. And that's been a while ago. Was that what 2000 and was it? I don't know, 7, 8? Since Tomlin won the Super Bowl when they beat the Cardinals and they lost to the Packers in 2011. So, but he got a great relationship. Everything is working. Pittsburgh see his vision. He sees Pittsburgh vision. And that's why he's there for 17, 18 seasons. Even though a lot of you Steelers fans are, hey, I want him out. I want a new coach. I'm tired of hearing the same voice. He ain't winning nothing. You fail to realize it's about relationships. Pittsburgh think the program is growing. That franchise is growing. And as long as Pittsburgh believe that, Mike Tomlin ain't going nowhere. Because like I said, you got to think about it. As bad as you want Mike Tomlin out, I'm telling you, if Pittsburgh let Mike Tomlin go right now, every single NFL team, majority of them, will be calling trying to hire Mike Tomlin. You can book it. You can bet your last dollar. Because it's about relationships. And when you got relationships along with 17, 18 winning seasons, you will always have a job. But like I said, everybody ain't Mike Tomlin. Coach Jenkins ain't Mike Tomlin. Coach Pederson, Coach Nick Sirianni, Coach Mike Brown. It's just different. It's how you land. It's how your front office is, who believe in you, who see your vision. That's how it works. So before we get into the mindset, oh, it ain't fair. That's messed up. He just won Coach of the Year. Oh, John Morant was suspended. He got in that trouble, and that coach still had to do that. Coach Pederson just had won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Coach Nick Sirianni got the Eagles winning every single year. They won a division. Why is this man always on the hot seat? Relationships. Relationships. Every year is not going to be the same. Every year it's a new year. It's a new roster, new coaches, new rules, new expectations. So what we did yesterday, what we did last year or 4 years ago, it mattered, but it really don't. This is what have you done for me lately industry. In the sports industry, every industry. What have you done for me lately? If we can remember that as employees, as managers and presidents and owners of all job and career industries, if we can remember that, it's a what have you done for me lately type atmosphere, we'd be all right. But there's nothing wrong with vouching and fighting for what you believe in and freedom of speech on, man, I didn't think that coach should have got fired. I didn't think that was fair because he had just won this, or he had to deal with John Morant, or I don't think it's fair for Mike Tomlin to still have his job. You can do that. It's freedom of speech. But let's also have an understanding as well is what have you done for me lately? Relationship matters over success, winning, employee of the month, employee of the year, pay raise, you name it. You got a bachelor's degree, you got a master's degree, but this person here don't even have the degree, but they still on the job and you're not, because it's about relationships. Let's keep that in mind and let's think about it. All right. Thanks for tuning in for today's episode. Clarence Sports Talkative Jones. Please visit www.playprogressgo.com. Check out my website. Okay. Stay alert for sessions, camps, clinics, blogs, podcasts, and fantasy football. That's a wrap. I appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll do it again. All right. Have a great weekend. Enjoy playoff basketball. Enjoy the AC game tonight, and we'll talk next week. God bless. Be safe. Peace.